And at this point, the thing to do is to start paying attention to how we get the image on the camera. So right now, we see nothing. It's completely saturated. And the first thing to do there is to turn down the light intensity. And the way you do that, you don't want to change the power going to the lamp, because that will make the lamp dimmer. And as it does it, it lowers the temperature and it will redshift the light. It changes the spectrum of the light you're getting out. So instead we do that using some partially silvered mirrors called neutral density filters, which actually just reduce the total level of light in a stepped way. So as you watch, I'll start with none, totally saturated. Now I put in 1. Notice this has gone red. Once the camera is not being completely blasted by light, then it's no longer essentially malfunctioning, and it's giving a linear readout. The top end of its scale is designated to be red in the software, and the purpose for that is so that you know you're saturating. So the only time it will look white is if you're really blasting it. If we turn down the neutral densities a little bit more, so the light intensity is down, you'll start to see features showing up. And I'm going to keep going. And let's pretend that this is a little out of focus, more out of focus than it is. And I'm going to keep going. And what I want is to pick an intensity where there's no saturation, no red, one step more gray than that. So I've got a decent grayscale. And what I'm going to do then is focus. And I do that by grabbing this silver knob right on the back of the sample holder. And notice how I'm reaching down and under to grab that knob. And the reason for that is that if I reach over, I'm more likely to get my fingers either on the sample or the objective, or to touch this sensitive dichroic mirror with my hand. So I'm going to reach under and be careful not to touch anything sensitive. And then I'm going to watch the image while I twist that screw and see whether things are getting closer to being in focus or further away. And if you're a long way out, you may have to mess with this a bit. But now you'll see that I'm in fairly good focus there. So what I'm going to do at this point is sort of scoot the resolution target around with my fingers, looking for the small lines that are in the middle. And you'll see, there we go. So that's the small lines in the middle, and I'll carefully focus on those. And the best way to focus is to go a little out of focus and then to come back through focus, always going in the same direction, because the screw, it has something called backlash. It won't change directions perfectly. So you want to keep going in the same direction to get as best focus you can. And this, you may want to try and sort of stand so that you can be close to the monitor so you can get a good view here while you do that adjustment, because you're trying to see the smallest features that you can. And once I think I have those well done, I have my sample sort of in good focus and well positioned. And that's what you want to do for this stage of the experiment. After this, what we'll do is click here to acquire an image, again at lowest gain and shutter settings. And now what I can do is I come up to Edit, I'll go to Copy Figure, I'll come down to my Word document, and I'll hit Control V for Paste, and I paste my figure in. And below that, I'm going to write all the relevant information. I'm going to write what neutral density filter I have in. In this case, I have neutral density filter 2.0, which means that there's 10 to the minus 2 light coming through. The transmission is essentially 1%. I have no other filters. I've taken my excitation and emission filters out, although the dichroic is in. And this is the USAF Target, and I have a 5x objective. So I'm writing down what it is that I know. And from the command window, I know that my gain is 0 and my shutter is 6. And I would type all this in under the document, under the image I've just pasted, and I'll hit Control S, because that saves it in case something crashes. And this is how you'd sort of work in the initial stages of the experiment with getting the resolution target in, changing objectives, and so on.